Hello everyone and welcome to episode 34 of my Guild Wars 2 Let's Play series. Today we are doing a ton of different things. We are currently in Caledon Forest on our Savari Necromancer, and at the start of this episode I'm going to go ahead and skip this scout because 2 episodes ago when we started exploring this zone I talked about how there was so much content in this zone and that there were 4 jumping puzzles. Well, in that episode we explored 3 of the jumping puzzles, and today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the 4th jumping puzzle that is available for us. And as you can see, we are starting to enter an Assuran lab, and this is a jumping puzzle known as Specs Lab. And this is a pretty easy jumping puzzle. It's pretty straightforward, but it has a very special mechanic that you don't see in a lot of other places, where we have these control panels here, which when we press this control panel we'll get some floating platforms that show up, and then we can jump across them and they will slowly disappear behind us. And then we see up there's another control panel that is a checkpoint, and it'll start the next section of the floating platforms. And if you ever fall after we get to any of the checkpoints in here, we can come to any of these lab assistants and we can go up towards our most recent checkpoint. But let's go ahead and click this control panel here and start making our way up here. I really like this jumping puzzle, and I remember when I first started playing this game I really struggled with it, and I don't really struggle with it anymore. I don't tend to fall, but now that I say that I'm probably going to struggle a little bit here. But this jumping puzzle is really fun because it's like an Assuran lab in the Savari lands, where the other 3 jumping puzzles that we've explored are all kind of like naturey. This one is very volcanic, lava-y, and it is definitely the creation of an Assurance. But another really interesting thing is that there was actually a 5th jumping puzzle on this map that was being designed, so we would have had 5 total jumping puzzles, which would have been incredible, but alas, we never did get that. But a really interesting thing about that jumping puzzle is that it had a lot of Assurance stuff in it as well, because they worked on it and it's available in the world and you used to be able to get to it, but it is unfortunately now blocked away from people being able to get to it. There's invisible walls and stuff everywhere, which is very unfortunate. Also, doing this jumping puzzle right now is really fun because the Super Adventure Box Festival, which is something we will explore later on, just returned to the game, which is the April Fool's Festival. Well, not the official April Fool's Festival, but it was originally an April Fool's joke, and then it comes around every year on April Fool's, and that has to do with a bunch of jumping. It's like a giant jumping puzzle world. But we just made it to the end of this jumping puzzle. Let's go ahead and interact with this control panel here, and we have Specs that is right here.
I finally returned to my lab from vacation, and what do I find? Adventurers. Blech.
I'm going to go ahead and put down all my marks right here because we have all these golems coming, and then there are a bunch of lasers here, so I'm going to go ahead and just try my best to avoid the lasers and then deal with the golems, and also have a ton of sound because I don't know how to get rid of the sound of these creatures. I'm working on it, but we're going to have to figure it out at some other point. But now we can come through here and we can get this magnificent chest and we can open it up. We completed Specs Laboratory, of which we got 10 achievement points. Then you can go ahead and interact with this console, or the lab assistant rather, and we can return to the main entrance. And then I actually think I might just waypoint back over here because we have a scout right here at Sandy Cove Beach. Because now that we have completed that jumping puzzle, we can go ahead and begin working on the world, but we're only going to do a little bit of map exploration before I start looking at something very special in Guild Wars 2. But let's go ahead and run up this hill here, and then we can talk to the Savari scout right here.
On the Weeping Isle in Ventry Bay, the soundless seek to isolate themselves, to be alone with their thoughts. However, outside the protection of the grove, they're endlessly harassed by the nightmare court of Hemlock Coil. They could use some help.
So let's go ahead and run north here, and we can go ahead and begin helping a village of Savari. And these Savari are known as the Soundless, which are kind of similar to the Nightmare Court, where they don't believe in the teachings of the dream, but they differ from the Nightmare Court in a few very important ways, where they don't believe in nightmare either, and they just kind of want to go their own path. They want to not be connected to the pale tree, but they want to be friendly with the Savari because they're nice people, and they just want to live in society on their own and just kind of work towards their own future. But we have this village here, so let's go ahead and begin helping them out. We can go ahead and open up some of these crab traps, and then we're going to have some underwater combat here, which if we come into my equipment panel, I do have some underwater weapons, which is good. And then we can begin swimming around and we can look at some of our underwater skills. I'm going to go ahead and I'll pick up Bone Fiend, I guess, and then I'll pick up the Spectral Armor. And then I'll go ahead and pick up Blood Fiend as well. And then let's go ahead and look at these 5 weapon skills that we have right here. So we have this auto attack right here that just deals damage and bleeding, and it looks like it does it in 2 attacks. It looks like we kind of send out like 2 projectiles kind of, but like they're one. It just does like 2 attacks with the projectile, which is really cool. Our second ability here is called Feast, where we weaken and damage foes around us. So pretty basic. But alongside that, it looks like it sends out an auto attack when we do it as well. So let's go ahead and find the scale right here, and then if we use this, we can send that out, and it looks like it sends the auto attack out too. So it looks like the main like weaken and damage around us is like 600 radius. That's just a circle around us. But then in addition to that, we also launch out our auto attack there too. So it's just like a little bit of extra damage. It's kind of a really interesting ability where it like does an auto attack alongside the skill at like the same exact time. I don't think we see that in many other places. This next one is called Foul Current, which is dart at your foes and strike them with tremendous force, inflicting poison based on distance travel. You constantly release Crimson Tide or auto attack towards your target as you travel. So Crimson Tide, send a devouring surge toward your enemy. Let's go ahead and use this, and then it looks like we just send out a ton of our auto attack there. So that is really cool. So it looks like all of our like skills here so far seem to be connecting to our auto attack, which is really, really interesting. A really interesting like weapon design. And it's in an underwater weapon. Our 4th skill here is Entomb your foe, making them sink. Fire Crimson Tide at your target multiple times. So this will just send them down to the bottom of the river or lake or wherever we are, and we'll also send a bunch of auto attacks at them. And then our last one, create a constantly expanded field near you that applies chill and vulnerability to enemies and deals damage when it ends. Fire Crimson Tide on each post at enemies within the maximum range. So it does indeed look like all of our skills here kind of connect back to our auto attack, where we just do a ton of auto attacks whenever we attack an enemy with any of our abilities, which is really interesting design. And it looks like our Crimson Tide here, our auto attack, does a ton of bleeding damage. So this is probably going to be an overall good weapon if we have some Condi gear on us, because we're just going to be stacking a ton of bleeding, a little bit of poison, and a little bit of other conditions as well onto our enemies. But we completed this quest, so I'm going to go ahead and finish a scale, and then let's head over towards Hemlock Coil, which is where we were last episode when we were dealing with the Nightmare Court. But now let's go ahead and explore it a little bit in the open world after I grab this POI right here on the island, and then we can go ahead and fight Nightmare Court just like we did last episode. We have a ton of Nightmare Court in here. Let's go ahead and run through here. Looks like we also have spider eggs, which we can go ahead and open up as well. If anyone noticed, I leveled up to level 18 in between the episodes because I logged on to do something on this account real quick, and I opened my bank on this character, which gave me one of these tutorial achievements, which then gave me a ton of experience, enough to level up. A lot of experience like I got from just there for completing this tutorial to like continue learning how to dodge in volume 2 of our adventure guide here, which if you look at our volume 1 of our adventure guide, or is it, let's come in here, looks like we have completed everything for this. So we can look at volume 3, which we have not unlocked yet. Volume 2, we have a bunch of other stuff that we are going to need to do, so let's go ahead and continue to pay attention to that. With completing this task, let's go ahead and head east here, and let's go to Maybon Market. This Safari village here is really cool because like we see in every single one of the first zones in Guild Wars 2 for each of the races, so like Queensdale for the humans, we have one town that has a bunch of crafting stations, and in the past episodes I have ignored these crafting stations, but today we're going to go ahead and take our first look into crafting. We have this event going on right here, but I'm going to go ahead and ignore it for now, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up 2 different crafting disciplines, and we can begin looking at them. So we are a necromancer, which are basically light armored spellcasters. So we are going to want to pick up the crafting profession for armor crafting that allows us to craft light armor. And then because we are spellcasters, a lot of our weapons are kind of like spell based, and we have a lot that are also like melee martial based as well, like we have axes. But I think for the most part we're going to go ahead and go here in our weapon skills, and we can see we can make an axe, dagger, greatsword, other stuff as well. We even have some huntsman stuff in here, but I think for the most part I'm just going to go ahead and go with the like magic crafting of an artificer. So first let's go ahead and head over to the Tailor, and then we can go ahead and learn tailoring, which the tailoring station is right here. So let's go ahead and talk to this person, and it looks like we have to help with this event really quickly before we can do that. So we just completed the event. Let's go ahead and talk to this master tailor here, and we can ask her to teach us to be a tailor, and we leveled up by doing that. So now we can go ahead and click goodbye, and let's go ahead and walk through how to craft in this game. So we just learned how to become a tailor. Let's go ahead and interact with this tailoring station right here, and opening it right up, there is a ton of stuff. But at the very basic foundational level, we have been gathering a ton of crafting resources in our adventures, and as a tailor, the big crafting resource here, there's a bunch, but the main one is cloth, similar to like other games. So we have collected a ton of jute scraps, which are like the tier 1 cloth for like the very beginner level tailoring, and we can get it in a bunch of different areas of the world, specifically in like the start of the game, which we've mostly been in the start, so we have a ton here. And we can see that we can click craft all here, and we just crafted super fast, which is a very nice part about crafting Guild Wars 2 compared to other games where it takes a very long time in order to make things. So now with armor crafting, we can make bags. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 8-slot bags here, and I'll go ahead and replace these bags that we have in there. But now let's make some armor. So starting off at like the start of tailoring, we can only make 4 of the armor pieces, and as we kind of level up a little bit more, we'll be able to make all 6 eventually. We can also make a backpack, so we can go ahead and make this, and then we can make all of these things. So we need some rawhide, so we need leather that we've also gained a ton of. I'll go ahead and just make all of these right here. I'm mostly planning on this character to be like the only character that we do crafting on in like the immediate future at least. But now that we have crafted all of that, we need spools of jute thread, so we can go ahead and come back over to this master tailor here, and then we can ask for tailoring supplies, and then we have a ton of crafting supplies here that we can buy. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here and buy 25 of these so we can buy a full stack for 20 silver, and then let's go ahead and return here, and now we can make 1 of each. And I'm going to go ahead and make some head pieces. Oh, we can't do that until 25. I'll go ahead and make the wrist guards here, and then tunics. So we can see here that there are a bunch of different items that we need in order to make a chest piece or a pair of legs or whatever. We have 2 different pieces right here that we need for each one of them. So if you look at the shoes, we need sandal soles and sandal uppers. So we created 2 of those, and now in order to create a full piece of armor, you can see right here that we could make one. We have these mighty embroidered sandals right here where we can make this from the shoe parts that we just made, as well as a vial weak blood, which is another crafting material that we have collected. But the main way we want to level up tailoring is by learning new crafting recipes in our discovery page here. So when we come into here, you can see that we have all the components that we just crafted. So if we come in here, we can put in our wrist guard items here, and then there are 13 different possible unknown recipes with these 2 items that we have right here. So what are those recipes? Well, when we look at crafting with both armor and weapons, there are 2 different things, one for each that we need to craft. For armor, we need to create insignias, and for weapons, we need to create inscriptions. So if we come into our production here, we can come down here and we can see that we have insignias right here. So if we look at this mighty jute insignia, it costs a bolt of jute and then 3 vials of weak blood, and it will create a jute insignia that we can use to create armor out of the armor parts that we have that will have the stats of power, and each insignia will give different things. So mighty jute insignia will give us power, a vital one will give us vitality, a malign one will give us condition. And I think at the start I'm just going to go ahead and create some power ones, even though we're a necromancer and we have a lot of Condi stuff. I think power is going to help us more at the start of the game at least. So we created 4 different things. I'm going to go ahead and create 5 of these because we can make a headpiece once we reach level 25 here. So now that we have those 5, let's go ahead and come into here, and let's go ahead and put our wrist guard straps and padding back in, and then put our mighty jute insignia back in. And with all 3 of these components here, we see that this looks like something. We can craft the item to save the recipe, and when we craft it, we get the item. We also get a ton of experience in our crafting tree here, so we can go ahead and go into production here. And I learned how to make a mighty jute wrist guard. So if we come into our gloves here, we have mighty embroidered wristguards, so we can just make this over and over if we wanted to. But really, it's only worthwhile to make it once because we get a ton of experience from learning new recipes, and we only get a tiny bit from just creating it over and over. So if we wanted to, we could just make this over and over and over again, but it's more worthwhile to just make new things, which, speaking of, we now are level 25 or 26 now because we just made that. So let's go ahead and make these two headpiece components, come up to here, and let's go ahead and make this headpiece, and then we can go ahead and do the same thing with everything here. We can make this chest piece, and then we have shoes right here that we can make. Go ahead and close that, and then we have legs here. So let's go ahead and put this all in, and then we can craft this as well. And then if we come into our inventory here, we now have a bunch of new stuff, including new skins. We can go ahead and equip, and I'll go ahead and equip every single one of them. And then if you just close everything out here, we can see we have our new armor on us, and it looks pretty snazzy right there, if I do say so myself, at least for like very low level beginner armor. But if you come back into our tailoring station here, we can see that we have everything that we have learned now, but we are only novice tailor level 31 out of 75, and the max crafting level in the game is 500. Originally it was 400, and then they added a new tier of armor into the game like 10 years ago, and it's been like that ever since then, and now the max cap is 500. But in order to get to the next tier of armor, we are going to want to get to level 75. So in order to do that, we're going to do exactly what we did right here, but we're going to do it with a different piece of insignia here. But one additional thing that we can look at as we go through all of our tailoring stuff here is these simple tailor tools. So I'm going to go ahead and make this because it's important for making a backpack. And then we have this backpack here. So we need a crafter's backpack frame, which can be purchased from Master Craftsman. So let's go ahead and talk to this craftsman here, and then we can go ahead and buy this, and then we can make our first tailor's backpack. So we just made that, and then we can go ahead and I think we can customize it. Yes, we can put 2 power onto it, and then we can equip that, and now we have this backpack here, which is like a little bit of a bag with some tailoring supplies in there, some yarn and stuff like that. So that is very fun. But one additional thing is that we have other stuff in our discovery here, and there's not a lot we can do with it. I just put in the rawhide leather square right here. It's kind of hard to learn a lot of like the random things unless you have like every single crafting material in the game. Sometimes you kind of want to rely on Google for that. There's nothing we can make with the rawhide leather squares right here, but we do have 2 things right here. It looks like this can make something, so let's go ahead and craft this. And then we just made an 8-slot invisible bag, which is a normal bag, but any items in here will not appear on the sell to vendor list and will not move when the inventory is sorted. So that's nice. It's not something that I particularly like too much. But then we have this bone chip here, and we can make an 8-slot craftsman bag, which any crafting material and upgrade components that come into our inventory will prioritize going into this bag until it fills up. So it's kind of nice for people who like that. Again, this is something that I don't really play with too often. But let's go ahead and go back into our production here, and I'm going to go ahead and just make a bunch of things. I think I'll go ahead and just make like 3 of each of these, and then I'll make 5 of 3 of these different insignias here. Actually, I was making all of these, and it looks like I kind of messed up here a little bit, and I'm not going to be able to make all of this right now because we have these bolts of jute right here that we don't have enough of. And I'm checking to see, I think there's a trading post here. We might be able to buy some, but it might only be a banker. So yeah, it looks like there's not a trading post here, so I might have to table this for later. But I'll go ahead and just put all that into my material storage here. And then we have these items here that I'll go ahead and store for later. And then really quickly, before we move on, let's go ahead and find the Artificer, which is right over here. And then let's go ahead and do basically the same exact thing that we were doing, but this time with artificing. First we have to learn how to be one. And now we can go ahead and come into the artificing station right here, and we see it's very, very similar, but instead of like cloth and leather like at the tailor, we now have these green wood planks here. So let's go ahead and craft a bunch of these, and we can level up our artificer as well. We can come to the artificer vendor here and buy that crafter's backpack frame. And then let's buy some lumps of 10. I'll go ahead and just buy 50 because we can make bronze ingots, which requires us. That's the cooking station. I want the artificer station over here. The cooking one's right there. The artificer is right here. And then let's go ahead and make some bronze ingots out of copper ore and then lumps of 10 that we have. And I'm not going to craft too many right now. I'm just going to hold off on that. But now we can go ahead and make simple artificer's tools, which will allow us to make the simple artificer's backpack, which if you then come into here, I'll go ahead and just put this right here for now, but we can preview this, and it's just like a box with some stuff hanging off of it. But then let's go ahead and look at the weapons we can make, and we can also look at our inscriptions here. So we can make dowels out of the greenwood planks that we made, and we have 3 different types of weapons here. And we currently have 3 different types of inscriptions, so let's go ahead and just make a bunch of these. Well, we have 4 types. You can also make tridents. So I just did the same exact thing where I used up all my planks here without really thinking about it, but with all the extra stuff that we have, we can go ahead and just use it another time. But I'll go ahead and make 3 mighty inscriptions here, and then I'll go ahead and just make 2 of these malign ones here. Malign, I think it's malign. And then you can go ahead and come into our discovery panel here, and then let's go ahead and make a scepter out of the mighty one, and then let's make a trident out of the mighty one. And then we can make a focus as well, so we can go ahead and craft all of that. And then we have 2 of these other inscriptions here, which I'll go ahead and make some more stuff with that. And then we can go ahead and return to being an artificer once you have more crafting materials, or we can head to the city to buy some off of the trading post. But we have a ton of stuff in here. I'm going to go ahead and equip some of this. Let's go ahead and come into here. We have this trident right here. Let's go ahead and replace this with this power one that we have. And then we did not make a staff, but we made a brand new scepter. So let's go ahead and equip that. And then with all of our other stuff, I'll go ahead and just salvage it and sell what we can on the trading post. But we have a lot of skins that we can unlock here, so if you just salvage it all, we'll unlock a bunch of different skins, which is very nice. I also picked up this Rune of Evasion recipe, and I'm not entirely sure when we got it, and it's for 400 level crafting. But we can go ahead and learn it, and then we learn it on our account, so we only have to like unlock the recipe one time, and then we have it forever on our account, and we can learn it at any time. And you can see right here it is a high level rune that we can make, but we aren't able to do that until much later into the game, and it gives us a ton of stats onto our armor, which is really cool. And I don't see this rune too often because of the swiftness, but it's interesting. I wonder if there's like some sort of like, I feel like there's a build that could go with this rune, which might be something fun to look at some point. But now that we have explored a lot of the crafting, let's go ahead and continue exploring the world, and we will return to crafting later once we have some more money and some more materials. Let's go ahead and come up here, and we can go ahead and explore this area. There's a vista here, a task, and there is the first mini dungeon in this map that we can begin looking at. We have a ton of script in this area, so we can go ahead and clear them out. And then you see right here is the start to the vista that we can start making our way up of. You can run and jump across all of these wooden beams right here. And then we have some ruins of like an ancient civilization that used to reside in the Maguma jungle, but are no longer here. And then I think I fell down a little bit. We can jump back up over here, and then it looks like, oh, we have to jump right there, but we can then come up to here, and then the vista should be right up here. That was our 100th script that we have killed, so we just got 5 more achievement points there, so we progressed this achievement to 1,000 kills. But if you come through this cave here, we can find a little bit of a puzzle and a mini dungeon that I've been talking about. There are 2 mini dungeons in Caledon Forest, and this is the first one. And there are a ton of script in here, so let's go ahead and just clear the useful ones out really quickly, and we'll clear out this room as best we can. There's a rich copper vein there, which is nice. We go ahead and get some crafting materials from that. And with all that cleared out, we can go ahead and come over here, and you can grab this giant blue shining ball right here, an orb to be specific. And then we can come over here and we can throw this orb at this wall, I believe, and it breaks it, and then we can run through here. There's one on that side, so we can break the wall if we want to come through here. And then we come into here, and there are a ton of golems that seem to be inactive in here. If we come all the way over here, we have a splendid chest.
What a pleasant surprise.
That is for another event, but we can go ahead and open this chest. But we can see that we didn't get the achievement for coming through here and completing this mini dungeon. But if you interact with this sacred script shiny, we can go ahead and do that. and then we can tempt fate and break the statue.
Object reassignment detected. Beginning recalibration. Acquiring targets.
And all of the golems activated, and there are a ton of lasers in here. So this seems to be some sort of like twisted experiment where they would try to lure the Skrit into here, and it would basically just end up killing all the Skrit. And it looks like the Skrit tried to like barricade this off a little bit in order to prevent like other Skrit from coming into here and meeting an untimely demise. But we are powerful enough to kind of survive that a little bit. So let's go ahead and come this way, and we can go ahead and escape out of the way we came in. There's a ton of Skrit right here. We'll go ahead and come this way, and then let's go ahead and continue on with exploring Caledon Forest. We have a Tengu right here, which is a scout. Let's go ahead and chat with him.
The Sauger-Sort Quaggins and Hazupal Grounds Hylik are all that keep the Crate from complete dominance of Quetzal Bay. Neither can truly stand against the Crate and win. We don't interfere in the affairs of outsiders, but protecting the Bay benefits us as well. We'd be indebted to anyone who brings peace to these waters.
So it looks like there are a ton of tasks over this direction related to the Crate, which basically the Crate are attacking like a bunch of Quaggin and Hylik villages, and then the Tengu are also dealing with them, because you can see off in the distance here we have the giant Tengu wall that is surrounding the domain of the Four Winds, which is the Tengu home city that we talked about, and they basically have this wall to protect their lands and to try to like kind of isolate from the other races of the road. But we see that they're not completely isolationist, that there are a few Tengu wandering around of the world, just like the scout that we just talked to. But let's go ahead and come up to here, and then we can get a nice view of the area around us here, and then let's go kill a bunch of Crate. So it looks like there is a little bit of a fun event going on right here, where we can collect Hylik saliva, and it looks like that there's a Crate witch that has transformed into a Hylik, and we can go ahead and try to find out where this witch is. So I might have missed that actually. Let's go ahead and talk to him again. Oh, we have it. So we can throw the saliva at your target. If the target is a transformed Hylik, transform will be removed on hit. So let's go ahead and come this way, and then let's talk to this villager right here, and let's go ahead and throw saliva. And it looks like this one is fine, so we just spit on the villager basically for no reason at all. We could also consume the saliva if we wanted, but that doesn't sound like the best thing in the world. And then we have a bunch of Crate around here as well that we can fight.
You'll regret discovering my
There she is.
This
Quickly, kill
won't
her
help the
before she hurts
Hylik.
anyone else.
If I can't have them for pets, I'll simply destroy them.
So we found the
I'll
Crate
show
witch,
you true suffering.
and then we can go ahead and eliminate her threat there. And we completed this event, and then we can go ahead and just continue working on this task, and then we can head north and just work our way up this area here. So as we swim further north, we have this giant bridge here that comes out of this gate here in the wall into the domain of the Four Winds. And if we come up here, we can see that there is a hero challenge. So let's go ahead and interact with the hero challenge.
Then hide and see what they do when they open up and no one's there.
So we can go ahead and fight this Tengu to learn a little bit more about their fighting style. And I just know that this Tengu sound is very loud in the video, even though it's not that loud right here in my headphones, which is kind of unfortunate, but whatever. I was trying to figure out how to like make it sound better, and I think I need to do stuff outside of the game, but I might petition her internet to change a few things up, because it has been bothering me a lot and I would like to fix that. But with this hero challenge completed, let's go ahead and just continue wandering around here. We have some diving goggles that we can go ahead and work on this diving goggle achievement, and let's jump into the lake here, and then we can begin our next task. So at this task right here, there's a little bit of a fun thing going on right here that I don't entirely remember how this works, so let's go ahead and remember now. But we can come to this pipe organ and we can press play, And then we have, yes, we have a bunch of musical notes here. So this is kind of like a little bit of an introduction to musical instruments in Guild Wars 2, where we can actually, on the gem store costing real world money or gold that we trade into gems, we can buy musical instruments like drums and guitars and stuff like that. And we can play, and it's kind of like this right here. So we can play a bunch of different notes, which I am not a musically inclined person, and I think it's very quiet. I think I have the setting for this down, so let's go ahead and come into our sound settings here, and then player instrument volume. That is much louder now. But yeah, you can just play a lot of different songs there if you're like good enough at it, and like you probably want to make like a sheet music or whatever for it. But yeah, just a little bit of a fun thing here in the world that I like quite a bit. So beyond all the tasks in this area, there's actually a meta event that goes on here, which basically has us fighting a bunch of mini bosses until we fight a bigger boss right here. But that meta event's not going on, but we can go ahead and talk to the scout to see what the next area ahead of us is like.
The Lion Guard is supposed to keep the Lion Road safe for travelers and merchants. But Cratebane Haven is stuck between the Slaver's Deep's crate and an increasing undead presence. It's like an endless battle here.
So it looks like our next task for us is much further north, but let's go ahead and explore this area over here a little bit. We just have some of the Caledon Forest here that we can walk around. We have Titan's Staircase. We have a waypoint right here, so let's go ahead and go back there really quickly to grab it. Here is this waypoint, and then there is a vista over here that we can go ahead and look at to see this area of the world. A nice shot of the High Lake Village here, and then right on the other side of the vista, right over here, we have a little bit of a trading camp here. As you can see that there are a bunch of Tengu, and there are some Ashura, and then there are some Savari in here, and it's called Honto Trading Post. But then let's go ahead and come over here, and we have a Lion Guard Haven, where we saw the scout over there is that there is a haven all the way up here in the northeastern corner of Caledon Forest, but there is another haven right here. So there are two havens in this map, and there are some other outposts for the Lion Guard as well where they are doing stuff. But let's go ahead and come into here, and then, oh, there's actually three havens. I just remembered there's one all the way down here. There's Bay Haven right here, and then there's this Caledon Haven, and then I think this one's called like Cratebane Haven or something like that. So three havens in this map, and then a little bit of a spoiler, but there's a little bit of a Lion Guard camp right here where I'm circling on the map, and we will see that soon enough. But here is this vista that we can go ahead and take a look at.
So, remind me again, what was it exactly that drew you to join the Lion Guard?
I don't know. They never talk about it.
So this haven is kind of set up to have the Lion Guard help the Savari integrate into society, and we have a giant Savari village right here that we can go ahead and come over to, because there is a waypoint right here. It's just north of Hemlock Coil, and then we can go ahead and get to this waypoint. And this waypoint is right next to the map portal to enter Metrica Province, which we saw when we were on the Ashura character that we were playing. We saw the other side of this. This is right near the northeastern corner of Metrica Province, and if we like looked up in the sky from where we come into here, we see Golem's lab, which is very fun. But we are not going back through there. We're going to go ahead and come back this way. And I think at this point in the episode, I'm going to go ahead and call it good here, and we will continue exploring Guild Wars 2, the world, and the story in the next episode. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time in the world of Tyria. Goodbye.